So how do you know, chapter 13, verse 2, how do you know if somebody is a false prophet or not? How do you know if someone's a false prophet? If I had to ask you a question, if I have to ask you this question, Kobe, how would you know if somebody's a false prophet or not? What would you say?
I wouldn't know. You wait for God.
Well, how do you know? They come here and they say,
You worship
oh, so Eric gave the right answer. What some people say is a very simple test. If his words come true, if he says, I predict tomorrow there's going to be an eclipse of the sun, and there's an eclipse of the sun tomorrow, that's a proof that that he's a true prophet. And if it doesn't happen, it's true that he's a false prophet. That's what most people would say. But that, our verses now are going to tell us, no. That's wrong, because God is going to send to us prophets that prophesize, that predict events, but yet are false prophets. There's only one way to tell if a prophet is a true prophet or a false prophet, and that is if he says to violate, if his words are inconsistent with the Torah, he's a false prophet. Now, you have to think of all the things to come up with. Why is God trying to trick us? Why is God trying to trick us? Well, let's answer that question in a moment. So, if there will be a rising amongst you, a prophet or a dreamer, somebody will have a dream, and he'll give to you a sign, fate or a wonder. Rashi says, what's a sign? A sign in the heavens, like it states by Gidon, I will make for you a sign. Ironically, Gidon was the one who the angel convinced. Gidon asked the angel to give him a sign, so he knows he's a true angel. But we're being told, it's ironic, he's being told, that's not a proof. Uva ot v'amofet, and the sign of the wonder comes true, asher diber alecha emor, that he spoke to you, saying, Ne'alcha achrei elohim achirim, let us follow after other gods, asher lo yudatem, that you did not know, v'na'avdeim, and we will worship them. So his signs and wonders come true. That then you might have thought that he's a true prophet. His signs and wonders come true, but it's not the case. Yes, Jerry.
Yes, if you're a scientist, you can often predict what's going to happen. And so giving a scientific prophecy ain't the way to accept a man who claims that he's a prophet. For example, the eclipse of the moon. We know this, years and years. We can calculate that eclipse centuries in the future.
Well, so that's exactly the point. The point is, even though, like we'd say, okay, let's say you do something like, I'm going to make this elephant disappear. What the Torah is telling us is don't be fooled by the, what's it called, bells and whistles, but go for the substance. The bells and whistles can be they could be fraud, but here we're being told even if it's not fraud, I mean, we'll skip the Rashi for a moment because we'll come back to it. The next pasuk tells us, Lo tishma al divrei navi Yahuwah, don't listen to the words of this prophet, hello, Greg, or to the words of this dreamer. God's just trying to test you. Don't be fooled. God's just trying to test you. That's all God's trying to do. So God is sending us a prophet who's false, giving him miracles, giving him the ability to do signs and wonders just to see if we'll follow the substance or not. I think that most people wouldn't. That's not intuitive.
Rabbi?
Yeah. Yes, Ben.
This reminds me of the magicians in Pharaoh's court.
They could also do magic tricks, but their magic tricks were not as great as Moses and Aaron's. But yes, it's the point is that the fact that you can do magic is not a proof. The only proof is if your words are consistent with the Torah. Yeah, Jerry?
Yeah, we've had in Jewish history quite a number of false prophets, but did they get their status by uh, creating miraculous things? I thought it was only by word of that they fooled the public by their speeches.
No, but they also did. They're also charlatans. They did tricks, and it's ironic. But we fell for exactly what the Torah told us not to do. We fall for it, time and time again. Yes.
So, was Joseph? He wasn't considered a prophet. Joseph, because he, I mean,
Joseph, the Talmud lists the 48 prophets, and I believe Joseph was considered one of the prophets. I believe so. I don't remember the list by heart, but he did predict the future.
Right. So if a prophet, a false prophet, rogue prophet, comes and okay, so signs and wonders may or may not be,
Right.
But the prophecy is in the future. Usually prophecies maybe months, maybe even years. So how would you? I mean, you'd have to wait. And
No, the prediction coming true is not an indication of whether or not he's a true prophet. The only thing that's an indication is if his words are consistent with the Torah. So you could have a prophet whose words are consistent with the Torah, but still be a false prophet. But then he's not as bad. It's only if his words are inconsistent with the Torah that it's a problem.
but if it is consistent, if the Jewish people do this, then will have to follow the words of the Torah.
Well, that's consistent. That's what the prophet said.
Yeah.
That's what our prophet said.
Not immediately.
But not everyone, I think it's the question, not everyone is to be true and follows the Torah. It's a problem.
Yeah, well, Jeremiah was dealing with prophets who were false prophets, but their false prophecy was not necessarily because they were not following the Torah. It's just because they were giving the people the message that was easy to take, and they weren't telling the truth.
What page we
I don't know. I'm on a different book. What part? What page?
And
1021, Ezra. So, yeah, so this is not the only test. It's not the only test. Okay, so Rashi says it explicitly. Why is God giving him power to make a sign? Hashem, your God is testing you. Hashem, your God is testing you. It's that simple. Okay. The next pasuk. Follow your God. You have to follow after Hashem, your God. You should go after him. You should fear him. Guard his commandments. Listen to his voice. Him you shall worship, and him you shall cleave. Rashi says, his commandments shall you keep. Torah Moshe. This is the commandment of Moshe, and you shall listen to his voice. The voice of the prophets, him you shall worship in the sanctuary, Botid Bakun, Hadpek Bidrachav. Oh, this is a beautiful Rashi. What does it mean to cleave to God? What does that mean to cleave to God? It says you shall cleave to God. Kobe, do you know what the word cleave means? It means like attach. It's supposed to attach yourself to God. How do you attach yourself to God? How do you attach yourself? How? Give me an example. What did you say? So I thought somebody might say that. That's what I might have said, but I'm reading the Rashi. What does Rashi say? This is you want to know. How do you attach yourself to God's ways? He davek bidrachav. Attach yourself to his ways, meaning to say the way he acts. Gemol chasadim, perform acts of kindness. Kivor metim, bury the dead. Baker cholim, visit the sick. Just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. God buried Moses, visited Abraham when he was sick. So if somebody says to you, how do you attach yourself to God? How do you connect to God? You follow God's ways and you do what God did. God buried the sick, God buried the dead, visited the sick, and did acts of kindness, like the creation of the world. So if you want to know how you should act, what does it mean? That's the essence right there. He doesn't say to pray. Believe me, I believe you should pray, but the purpose of praying is almost to remind us to do these other actions so that we can remind ourselves that if we want to have this relationship with God, the best way to do it is to do these mitzvahs. Okay, everybody with me? Yes. Oh, you're just trying to catch that thing. When you catch it, what do you do with the mosquito?
Well, I just crushed it.
Oh, okay. Sometime when we went to look at this house for the first time to decide whether or not to get it for the yeshiva, there was an architect who helped us design this place. And then there was a mosquito like that in the house. And he caught the mosquito and he released it outside. It was such a sensitive soul, he wouldn't even kill a mosquito. Now, I think that's dangerous because the mosquito could bite you while you're releasing it, but he wouldn't kill it.
I'm not on that level, Rebbe.
Me neither. I'm not on that level either. I'm not even sure I agree with it. I was inspired, but I don't know that I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, a mosquito's trying to hurt you. You're allowed to kill it. I mean, okay. Next verse says, and this prophet or this dreamer shall die, because he told God to depart. He spoke falsehoods about God. Who led you out of Egypt, he redeemed you from captivity, from slavery, to take you away from the path, and you'll uproot the evil from your midst. Rashi says, Davara musar min olam. Sarah means something that's removed from the world, which I did not command. And he redeemed you from the house of slaves. Even if he would have no claim upon you, except that he redeemed you, that would be enough. Okay, now, actually, we now come to one of the most difficult passages in the Torah. There's only one type of person. You know the idea of entrapment? Is entrapment legal in American law? You know how to do it? You know how to set up a sting operation?
I think there's complicated rules around it, but it's definitely a challenge.
You can challenge
You
it.
can't cause someone to commit a crime.
You have to walk the fine line. There's only one area where you're allowed to entrap somebody in Jewish law. That's this next law. Ki yisitcha achicha ben imecha u'bencha u'bitcha.
I should say the government.
Yeah. The government can't entrap. I thought FBI does it all the time. That's what Marion Barry said. He was set up. Of blessed memory, man. Marion Barry is a legend in this town. What? He's
got a great picture. A friend of mine and I were walking through a park.
yeah.
I'm up on H Street, closed on H Street for a festival. And he's sitting there. And so one quick take a picture of me, so my friend, two little blonde maturities, he sits down there, he's like, oh, really big smile. When I developed this a while back, so when I developed the picture, there was Cora Masters, his manager, last wife. Frowned in the corner of the picture.
Uh,
She was nuts.
no, but Mary and Barry, they put a statue up of him in front of the Wilson building. He is in parts of this city so beloved you can't even imagine. I know I sometimes go talk to people. He was a hero because he arranged for there to be without him there wouldn't be a middle class Black community in DC. He got them a lot of jobs.
Washington. No, Mary and Barry
Yeah.
instituted, what do you call it, where you hire someone as many people below you as possible, so when they come sign like firings, they have to sign up to.
He knew how to work the system, Mary and Barry. He knew how to.
Sadly, it was a Jewish builder that helped corrupt it down on McPherson Square.
All right, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to. I don't think he needs that much help getting corrupt, but I meet people still to this day who swear by him.
He was convicted of cocaine. He was not convicted
Of what?
of I'm reading it's a lot.
But he was there were two convictions. There were two.
Oh, for them.
He was in the hotel room. All right, it's another story. Anyway, you're allowed to. Who are you allowed to entrap by Jewish law? The person who's the Macy's. Ki asitcha achicha ben imecha o bencha o bitcha o eshet chechacha. When your brother, the son of your mother, will incite you, or your son or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, reacha asher k'nafshecha, or your friend who's like your soul, baseter, and more secretly saying, let us go and worship other gods, asher lo yadata atav avosecha, that you do not know, you and your fathers. So basically, who are you allowed to entrap? The Torah hasn't said it, but the Talmud discusses it. A person who presents a threat to others. He's inciting others to go the wrong way, specifically to idolatry. This person is convincing others to go down that path to idolatry. This person is a danger to others. That's the person. Oh, welcome, Aaron. Glad you're here. So that's the person. Rashi says, Ki yisitcha ein hasata ela geroi. The word hasata refers to provoking. Your brother, achicha me'ah, from your father or your mother, wife of your bosom, okay, asher k'nafshecha. This refers to your father, meaning to say those who are dear to you. Even if the ones who are inciting these people to go the wrong path are your close relatives, you have to go after them hard. And there's so many benefits we give to people, benefits of the doubt, but we don't give to the person, this one person who is the inciter of others. That's the person who represents a tremendous danger because they could destroy society. Let us